Howdy, folks. This is Fuzzy Road to Health, and I'm Fuzzy D, aka David. So it's been a while since I've done a vlog, and we'll get to all the details on that in a minute. Suffice it to say, I've been struggling the last few months, but we're getting it sorted out. So stay tuned, and I'll fill you in on all the details. Let's get started. So today is September 10th, 2024. And as of a couple of days ago, I reached a weight of 308.6 pounds. So 308.6. Don't know what that is in kilos. I know I'm Canadian, but I'm old enough that I started on Imperial. And but anyway, so that gives me a total weight loss of 232 pounds, basically. So now, not all of that was on carnivore. Some of that was on keto. So I got down to about 390 on keto and then switched to carnivore. So that at least is continuing to go. Now, some of you know I was struggling for a while. I'd actually gained some weight when I went down to KetoCon. Not a lot, but I gained some weight before I went, actually, and then I gained a little more weight while I was there, and then I gained a little more after I got back. So I wound up, like a couple of weeks after I got back from KetoCon or Hack Your Health. I think I was up about, I think I was crowding 331 or something like that. So maybe a little more. I can't remember for sure. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, so I was struggling with that. And then based on some of the stuff I learned at KetoCon, I made some changes. So I did a 72-hour fast. Some of you know about that already. That was a water fast. And then I went back to normal 2 meal a day eating. And then the following week, I started another 72-hour fast, which I got like a day and a half into it. And I started getting severe pain in my foot. It turned out it was not related to fasting. It was just coincidental. But I stopped my fast at that point. And then I switched to OMAD, so 1 meal a day. And ever since then, I've been slowly taking the weight off, 1 or 2 pounds a week. So now I've gotten back down. This is the first time in like almost 30 years that I've gotten down to below 310. So that's like a big thing for me. So this thing with my foot. So now this was about 2.5, 3 months ago, something like that, when all this started up with my foot. And I mean, the pain was absolutely excruciating. It was on my left foot. It was right on the ball of the foot by the little toe. And every step was just pure burning agony. And it was so bad, I could barely walk around the apartment. It was really, really bad. And with that level of pain, I just couldn't focus on doing the normal work that I had set about to do all of this year, basically, designing the courses and going through all the material. And, they released the videos for all of the sessions at Hack Your Health, and I've got access to that, but I haven't had the focus to be able to go in and go through that stuff, get the materials out, and start writing my course material. I just haven't been able to focus. It's really annoying, but yeah, that level of pain, and it, and I couldn't walk anymore, so I couldn't go on my normal walks, 2 or 3 kilometers. which was really frustrating, really disheartening. And it took me a little bit to wrap my head around this kind of a setback and to be managing this kind of pain. I'm not used to dealing with those levels of pain again. I mean, I've had worse with some of the other stuff I've had in my life, but yeah, this was pretty bad. And, you know, it was frustrating. I made an appointment with the doctor. It took a long time to get in to see him. Here right now, we're really short on doctors. There's just not enough to go around. My particular doctor, he's changed his practice around, so he only works 2 days a week in the practice. So when I call for an appointment, it takes a month to get in to see him, which is really frustrating. And he didn't really have any clues. He didn't really have any ideas of what it was. He didn't mention really anything. Didn't mention any gout, or asked me if I would accept a cortisone shot, depending on what the results of the x-rays were. The x-rays were inconclusive. You know, I'm able to access the report the next day, but now it's, you know, it's another month to get in to see the doctor again, and no progress being made. Lots of pain, lots of frustration, and you know, I found myself just kind of drawing back from people, drawing back from my support system and the stuff I was doing. I was just dealing with so much pain. I just didn't want to have to function enough to really deal with people. And I couldn't work on the computer hardly at all. You know, I was able to do 2 or 3 hours a week doing some client videos that I'm contracted to do, and that was about it. I'd sit on the computer a few minutes and that foot would just start to throb like crazy. And then it would take an hour or two for it to settle down after I got my foot up on the couch. So yeah, it was pretty brutal. I was not dealing with it well. You know, some of my old thought patterns started coming back, and yeah, it wasn't a good time. However, I continued to lose weight, and you know, the carnivore stuff's going well. And what I started doing, because I couldn't really focus on the work I wanted to do, I started kind of analyzing, you know, kind of what I've been doing with my channel and my coaching and that kind of stuff. And I realized I might have been putting the cart before the horse a little bit on some of the stuff. So I'm going to be doing some more fun stuff on my channel. Some of you have already seen a couple of video releases. So when I was kind of messed up with my foot so bad, all I could really do was either lay in bed, which I couldn't do very long because my back would start hurting, or sit on the couch with my feet up. So I started doing research. I started with, you know, carnivore research, and I was doing a few things, and then realized I'm not retaining this. I can't focus well enough on it. So I started looking at cooking videos, specifically carnivore channels, carnivore cooking channels, and keto cooking channels and stuff. And I started studying and writing down recipes and trying some ideas, and I've done a few recipes. I just finished shooting another video here a couple hours ago, cooking video, which I'll be editing and publishing right after I publish this. So basically, I've been getting a lot of stuff for the kitchen, for tools for cooking and getting a little fancy. I've been carnivore 18 months. I started January 16th, 2023. And, it's healed all this autoimmune disease, was able to leave the wheelchair behind and the wheelchair apartment, all that kind of stuff. It's been some huge changes. You can see scrolling on the screen all the autoimmune diseases that have gone into remission that I was dealing with. So, carnivore has been absolutely incredible. But when it comes to my food, lots of people, they're fine eating hamburger, 5 days a week kind of a thing. And, I do that. I eat lots of ground beef, some steak, some roast. We can't afford a lot of steak and that. We get some sometimes, we'll buy like the bigger primals and cut them down, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, we have to be a bit budget conscious, but it's gotten kind of boring. It's been the same stuff day after day. And, my wife, she's kind of keto. She goes off the rails fairly often. But with the stuff I've been cooking lately, she told me today that if you can keep cooking like this, maybe I can go carnivore. So that's the hope. I've kind of reignited my passion of cooking that I used to have before I went carnivore and keto. All the restrictions. I used to do a lot of cooking. Really enjoyed it. Was kind of famous for some of my recipes, like my some pretty amazing chili recipe I used to do. But I kind of lost all that joy. I was just kind of going through the mechanical motions of cooking my meat meals and couldn't really get it fancy with anything. So I was getting bored with it. So this has kind of really re-energized me and kind of refocused me. So I've got a bit of a new plan for the channel. So we're going to be doing a lot more of these cooking videos, all kinds of fancy recipes. And, I'm looking at recipes online. I get a lot of really good stuff from Chris Cooking Nashville. Shout out to him. And a few others. I just can't remember their names off the top of my head. But learned some really good stuff from him, and I'm doing some of his recipes with my own tweaks. And I think you'll find some pretty exciting food in there. It's all carnivore, and then I'll show some keto options because my wife's keto. So one day she might go full carnivore, but until then, I'll be showing some keto options that go with these carnivore dishes. But you can make them for both, and that's something that Chris Cooking does. His wife was keto; she's gone carnivore now. But a lot of his videos, she was still keto, and he's kind of partly doing it for her, and I'm kind of in a similar situation. I want to be able to cook better food for my wife. I mean, I do 95% of the cooking around here nowadays, and I need to be doing better. I mean, when she was still cooking standard American diet, she used to cook fantastic food for me all the time, and I didn't cook that often, but I had a few special dishes that I would do occasionally and really enjoyed it. But so yeah, I mean, and this is kind of my payback. I mean, she was my caregiver for the 10 years I was bedridden, and she's earned a break, and I want to be able to give her some really nice food. So I'm also building a kitchen island. Not building, I'm revamping, upscaling. Basically, we got like a set of old metal shelves that we got from somewhere real cheap, and they're really good quality, really heavy. So I'm just going to put a top on it. I've been looking at materials and pricing stuff out. So I'm just trying to be cautious with money. Don't have a lot to throw around right now. So yeah, I've got to get material for that. I'm probably going to go with butcher block or something like that. And alter the drawers a little bit. I'm going to take some of the drawers out, make the ones that are left a lot deeper, turn it into a bit of an appliance garage. And then I'll be able to shift my cooking video filming to there most of the time. It'll just give me a much better setup all the way around. So I'm going to get another little camera so I can do my overhead shots with a pole mount rig that clamps to the island. So hopefully the production quality will improve a bit and we can do some exciting recipes. I've got some neat ones planned. I just did one today that was sous vide roast beef. So we sous vide it for like almost 40 hours. It was normally a pretty tough cut of meat. It was eye of round roast, I think. And so we sous vide that, and then I made a carnivore gravy based on Chris Cooking's recipes. I did a slight alteration, that just a little bit different than the versions he's showed. Very little difference. It's like almost not mentioning. I mean, it's just a very minor difference. But and of course, I put out another carnivore butter mayo video. And on that, I was using advice from Chris Cooking as well. He gave me the little secret I needed to keep it spreadable in the fridge. Up till now, for me, it's always been rock hard. So, yeah, I did the new version that stays spreadable in the fridge. It'll keep for months, but it's not going to last that long. I can guarantee that. It's almost empty already. But, yeah, and of course mine is fermented, so it keeps in the fridge for months instead of just a few days. So that's kind of the main twist on it that I do. And I also did my first tomahawk that I cooked. We did a video on that. And so I've got some interesting recipes I'm going to be doing in the future. One of the ones that I'm developing on my own right now, using bits and pieces from all these different channels, is I'm going to give a stab at making a very a very good poutine that most people would not be able to tell the difference. That's my goal. Whether I'll achieve that or not, I don't know. I think I can. I've got all the parts of the recipe figured out and written down, and now I just have to play with it a bit and do some experimenting. So that's kind of the stuff I'm wanting to do and I'm going to be doing. So we're getting fancy and able to give yourself a little variety and maybe enjoy some of those foods that you haven't been able to for a long time. So things like the carnivore white bread that is almost impossible to tell from bread, and even toast. So you can do grilled cheese again and French toast and that kind of thing. So, and that's another Chris Cooking recipe. So, really appreciate Chris Cooking Nashville. I've learned an awful lot from him. I mean, there's lots of other channels I learned stuff from too, but probably half of the cooking videos I watch are from him, and then the rest are divided between other channels. So, yeah, he's very good at what he does. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, so I want to make things a little more fun, create more of a community, and we need to really try and get our subscribers up. We're sitting around, I think I'm around 400 subscribers or something in that range. I try not to look at the number too close, but I really do need to push this channel up over 1,000. Not just so that I can monetize. I mean, that's part of it, but that's really not the main reason. The main reason is at that size, I'll have enough reach that I can be in a position to help a lot more people. Because people will be able to start hearing me more and get to know a bit more about carnivore or keto and how to heal all these diseases and lose weight. So that's going to be my approach for now. And once I get my numbers up to a high enough level, then I'll go back to finishing developing all my course materials and setting up my seminars and retreats and stuff. So, but that's all going to take a while, and I need to just concentrate on the stuff I can focus on right now. Now, as far as my foot goes, my amazing, incredible, talented wife, she found the solution. Now, we're not sure exactly what it was that was causing the pain. We've got some ideas, but we're not positive. But we were trying different things. So we had this thick moleskin that we cut a little donut out of so that I could put it around the spot that was hurting. And that helped me be able to walk around the apartment a bit without quite so much pain. So it made me a little more mobile. And then I added like an extra padding to the bottom of my shoe, my fancy running shoe that I got because of that issue with my foot. So I was able to do some walking around. So once you figured out that part of it, then I was able to walk a bit for a while. I could do a little bit of distance and standing and that kind of thing before it started hurting too much. So at least it made me partly functional, which was huge. And then she found these little tiny, they look like dots basically, and they have some kind of an acid on them, and they're meant to eat away at stubborn calluses on your feet. So we figured, what the heck, because I had a big nasty callus that would come back extremely quickly. I mean, we would use like I even went to get a pedicure to get them to try and take off all that callus. And you can never kind of get it all before you were starting to, actually draw blood. So now that we think was caused by something else that kept triggering the callus to build. Could have been some kind of a wart or something based on what Lisa found later. But so she started putting these little pads on, and so we put a fresh one on every day. So at night before I went to bed, put one of these little dots with the acid on it, and we moved it around a little bit to kind of cover the whole area. And eventually the skin that it had been sitting on just turned white, and a bunch of holes were forming in it. So Lisa got in there and she pulled all that stuff out, got a pair of tweezers, and she pulled all that dead white skin out of there, and she found some like hard little long thing in the middle that we think could have been like a wart or a corn or something. We don't know. I mean, we're not a lab, so we couldn't test it to find out. But basically, she pulled all that out of there, and no more pain. I haven't had this little pain in my left foot since I was able to get up out of bed and start walking again. I had pain right from the hop with that one spot, and it slowly got worse. It got pretty bad when I was on a ketocon, especially on the airplane back. My foot got in a weird angle and put a kind of weird pressure at a weird angle, and ever since then it just started getting real bad real fast. So that seems to have solved it. Now it may come back, I don't know, but at least now we know what to do about it when it does. Oh, the other thing that my wife found was it was like a numbing spray for issues with the feet. So you just spray this stuff on and it numbs the nerve down, like it kind of quenches the nerves down a bit. So that also helped. Between that and that little moleskin pad, that helped a lot. And then once she was able to pull all that dead stuff out of there, then the pain went away, and I was able to go for a walk today. The first time I've been able to go out for a real walk. So I did, I think it was 1,441 steps with my stride length. That was 1.26 kilometers. And of course that included walking around the store, but that's about half the distance I normally used to do. But just to be able to do that without a lot of pain, I still get pain in my back because I've got other issues there. Most of you know about that. But that pain being gone from my foot is huge. So today was a really good day. So I thought I would do this video, share the win, let you know what's been going on. With that pain gone, I'm able to focus a lot better now. Still dealing with the after effects of my back, but that walk today actually helped my back a bit, even though it hurt while I was walking. Afterwards, after it settled down, the part of my back that's been bothering me the last couple of months was a lot better. So that's the key to keeping that in good shape, is exercising. And my foot was preventing me. So now I feel like I'm back in the saddle and kind of, back on the road, so to speak, and moving forward. So it's absolutely awesome. So I appreciate you guys checking in for the update. I want to give a shout out to Midlife Carnivore. I was watching her newest video here this morning. I got the shock of my life. I went to buy some heavy cream today at the store for a recipe I want to do next week. And I looked at the ingredients just because I'm in the habit of doing that now, and holy cow, that had a bunch of chemicals. I mean, it had methyl, some kind of methyl cellulose, or maybe it wasn't methyl cellulose, it was some kind of cellulose product was in there, and it had like gar gum and carrageenan and all of this garbage in it. You know, why can't it just be pure whipping cream, 33% butterfat cream? What's wrong with that? Why do you need all this other garbage? So I was really frustrated. And I was finding the same thing with the cream cheese that I needed to get today. And, you know, the Philadelphia cream cheese, kind of the standard that everyone knows. And then you look at the ingredients list and it's got all this garbage in it. It's very similar garbage to what they were putting in the heavy cream or the whipping cream. So I was going to leave without cream cheese. And I figured, well, I'll get a big thing of milk and I'll make my own. I'll just have to do this recipe a different day. So I was kind of bummed. And then when I was walking out, I was actually leaving. I was going to be leaving the store, buying the one or two items I did get. And I ran across an organic lane of all organic foods. So I found another brand of cream cheese, which had no added chemicals and nonsense in it. It was just the pure ingredients that you need for cream cheese. I think it was called Stella. And I found some organic whole milk. I picked up a liter of that. And I got a couple other little things. So I picked up some nice fresh pizza mozzarella, like the whole chunk of it. And I'm going to be doing some stuff with that as well. Not for a little bit yet. But anyway, I do have an interview coming up. Dave Mack from Zero Carb YouTube channel. He's going to be interviewing me tomorrow, 5 p.m. my time, I think. Keep an eye out for that. That should be interesting. I've been watching his stuff for quite a while, and he's got a very similar view of life that I do. So, yeah, he's a pretty good egg. So I'll be doing that interview tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing these blogs a little more regular. Just sorry about being out of pocket there for so long, but I just had to come to grips with this stuff and deal with it. And maybe I didn't deal with it in the best way. I probably should have been reaching out more to my support team, but and they tried reaching out to me, bless their hearts. They were really concerned about me, and I wasn't giving them much. I felt kind of bad about that, but I just kind of needed the space. I mean, part of the other thing that I had going on before this pain ramped up really super bad was I was feeling a little stressed and burnt because I had been burning the candle from both ends for quite a few months. And, all the plans that I was working towards and all the stuff I was doing, I did a lot of work in a few months putting stuff together. And I think when that pain hit, it just kind of all crashed in on me at once. So I just had to take a break. I actually took a pretty serious break from social media. I hardly looked at social media. Usually I'm on there, every half hour looking at stuff, making posts, checking stuff out, answering questions, that kind of thing. But yeah, I had about a month there where I basically stayed completely away from social media except for the absolute bare minimum once or twice a day that I had to do to make sure people knew I was still alive. So that's kind of where I've been at. So the struggle is real, but I'm overcoming it, and I've kind of renegotiated my strategy of what I'm going to do and moving forward down the path again, and things are looking a lot better now. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm probably going to be doing vlogs every couple of weeks or so, and I'm going to be trying to do cooking videos at least one a week. I might do more. But I'm going to play it by ear. It's going to be a little sporadic until I get that island finished. Once I get the island finished and the new equipment for filming, then I should be able to crank them out, pretty regular on a schedule. So stay tuned. If you feel I've earned it, please take a moment to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Thanks for hanging out with us today. See you on the next one.